All right. I wanted to talk about, this particular topic and having to do with um what I've noticed over the years, especially with people who have dealt with narcissists and narcissistic abuse and all that type of stuff. And it is the the aftermath of it all, the fallout. And it takes having a very serious, deep conversation, introspection, all of this stuff with it. um I find that a lot of people, when they really sum up everything as to why and how they got into this situation, right, I often ask, what was it that attracted you to the narcissist, right? Because these is questions we have to ask ourselves so that we can get to the root cause of whatever like patterns that we're repeating to make us encounter these narcissistic type of individuals. So it's important to find out what patterns these are. What is it exactly? And often I start with, what is it that attracted you to this individual, right? You have to start from there. What drew you to them? Some people say, well, they were all on coming on to me and so forth. And so, okay, that's fine. But what made you accept their advances? See, we have to deal with these. These are important things to deal with, right? We have to understand and know why. What was it? Okay, if you were the one that was being pursued and you weren't really into it, what made you finally give in? What made you say, okay, I'm going to give them a shot? Or what was it that made you go to them, that drew you to them? What caused you to feel like, oh, I want this person? That's where we got to start, right? And then, besides, we know about, the gaslighting, all of this stuff, the line, but what made you stay? And I understand some of you had kids, some of you had got married to them, but outside of that, what made you have hope or sort of, a belief in that person? What was your attachment style? It's another big thing to find out too. What's your attachment style? Because within all of this lies uh, the answer and the problem as to why you either attract these type of people over and over, and how you got involved with one in the first place. And this is what has to be tackled in order to avoid having it happen again. You don't have to go off being a hermit or anything like that. Now, if you like that life, cool, so be it. But if you're not a part of that lifestyle and you know, still want to be sociable and everything, you have to attack those areas of what, the questions that I'm asking. You have to figure it out in some way, because a lot of this is where it comes from. Now, if we're being real, I would say a high percentage. I don't know a specific number or anything like that, but I would say a high percentage of those who got attached, it was through some sexual, it was sexual in nature. Um, some you were codependent as well and didn't know you were codependent. Some you were um, A lot of you had been predisposed to behaviors and treatments from your upbringing from parents or caretakers that may have been narcissistic or complete narcissists themselves. And so you were um, more likely to be accepting of these type of individuals and drawn to them off that fact because you grew up around it. You've normalized that type of behavior from your own upbringing, and subconsciously it made you more comfortable with that type of person. It made you relate to that person in a way that produced the feelings of love and care, right? Because it's a familiar type of interaction and behavior that you experience from your parents. So these are some areas to look for when you start thinking about what you went through with that narcissistic individual and how you got so caught up and deeply involved with them. And this is part of the stuff when I do consultations, I get into these deep, intricate, you know, aspects of how everything plays out from our upbringing to our attachment styles. All of these things are important. And not just talking about the situation, right? We're trying to find a solution to reverse or to get rid of, to eradicate the problem that causes that repeats itself. Trying to get rid of that pattern. And so we have to be able to first identify what it is through these various avenues that could lead you to that. Another thing, some just did not have experience dating and knowing you never saw a healthy, functional relationship. So all of this was just brand new to you, right? You just didn't know. You never seen anything like this before. You went with the flow. You didn't know how it was supposed to go. And then you developed feelings and attachment over a certain period of time. All the while it being heavily, brought with a lot of at least toxic interactions. But these are things you'll find that if you really dig deep within, you'll see it. You'll clearly see it. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but at the end of the day, all roads eventually lead back to us, right? Because you do have power. You're not powerless. And that's the first thing you have to understand is you do have power, right? You have power of choice. And the power to get the right knowledge, at least, so that you don't encounter these situations again. So, in all of this, once we come back and we understand, some of us, in the end, the thing that kept us attached was our own ego. It was an ego thing. It wasn't necessarily like you really wanted them and all of this. You understood it, you got it, but your ego just kept nagging you about the situation. And it's not a good feeling to know that you got duped. To know that you got bamboozled, played, whatever you want to call it. It's not a good feeling, and your ego will nag at you, especially if something within you already told you that you should have left the situation alone, but you didn't. It eats at you in the end, right? And so through all of these things, it's a process of going through each one, identifying each one, because that's a big thing. Because once you do, and it starts to make sense, it makes recovering a lot easier and quicker. Of course, you're going to be mad. Of course, you're going to want revenge. These are all natural human emotions. That's fine. That's all part of the healing and stages of grief that you're going to go through. Um, it affects everybody differently, though. You know, um, it does. It affects everyone differently in many different ways. We're all different, but um, the biggest thing that I can say is that you have to tackle this. You have to get to this at some point and be really honest and real with it about yourself. If it was the sex that had you, hey, admit that, because that's the part. What do they say in the 10-step program? Like when people do Alcohol Anonymous and these drug programs, the first step is admitting the problem, right? Because once we identify it, we can work through it. We can actually work through that. But we have to first identify which avenue is the one that we frequently travel that gets us into these situations. So, not going to go on too much longer about it. Just wanted to say that if you want to book a one-on-one consultation, just click the link in the description box. I'll get you information on that. It's an email. Just shoot me an email. Doesn't have to be long, something brief and simple. Like the video, subscribe. Till next time, have a good one.